What's up, y'all? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. And welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. I am your host, A.D. Walker, in the building. I'm grateful that you guys are here this morning. So it may be just us, me, and you today. Brothers is handling business. So it's going to be an interesting convo. Just kind of break some stuff down. So let's see. Today, forgive me, guys. Today we're dealing with the unknown future. Today we're talking about that. What's up, Lisa? Good morning to you. It's funny. I was saying Lisa before I even clicked it. I knew you was there. I'm blessed. I'm grateful that you come through. Good morning, Cheryl. Good morning, Sports Car Lady. And thank you always for sharing. Sharing is caring. Sharing is caring. I want to hear more of my voice. So today we are discussing the unknown future and what that means as far as fear, faith, stepping out, doing things that are uncomfortable, and all of that good stuff, because we are always facing those kind of decisions, or have opportunities to make decisions that will change our life or change the direction of where we're going. Shouldn't I? Is it worth it? Is it not worth it? Is it what I want? Do I really want this? So that's what we're talking about today, dealing with those fearful moments of decisions that we face, some maybe monthly, some quarterly, some couple of times a week. So, making those decisions that will change your life and change those that are around you, based on what you decide to do. Because a lot of us have gone through what am I here for? What is my whole purpose? What am I even doing anything with my little bit of life? Or am I just working? And you spend a lot of your time just working. And nothing wrong with working, nothing wrong with or having a job or working for someone. But the question is, I guess what I should be asking is, what is the legacy that you want to leave? What is the legacy that you want to? I'm probably gonna just change the title. What is the legacy that you want to leave? And in doing so, you got to ask yourself these questions every single day, or do a self check-in every couple of months of where we're going and what are we doing with our life, right? And those that we are connected to, we become so isolated. We become so enclosed. And we talked about community, we talked about building together, we talked about doing things that are the most effective in our life. But in order to do so, it has to be a level of connection to others, because legacy is left in others. Legacy is left, in your kids and the things that you do and the connections that you make. What's up, Kathy? Great morning to you. So it's imperative that we decide to choose legacy over just every day. And the thing is about leaving a legacy, it doesn't have to be some big, hairy, audacious goal or something that is hard to reach, or that you have to be out front. Legacy starts with setting something in motion that will last a lifetime, right? We always talk about legacy when it comes to money, when it comes to things or property. But I want to share, we're going to talk about legacy as far as what are you leaving on the inside of others that are around you that will last a lifetime, right? And we talk about, people say, hey, Yvonne, good morning. Good morning. Yes, everyone, good morning. We talk about, or we've heard the term generational curses. I don't believe that. I believe in bad generational habits, because people watch, Your kids, your kids watch you. They emulate their kids watch them. They emulate, certain bad habits. So I believe in breaking generational bad habits. It's not a curse. It's not a curse. It's your bad habits, that you need to change. Begin to model in front of your children, knowing that this is not the path that you want them to go down. And then, because honestly, like some of that change happens when we're honest with our children about, like, I made these decisions because this is all I knew. I'm now older and I've learned better. And I want to tell you what you should do that I didn't do. Sharing that kind of information, being transparent. The moment that your parent comes to you and can apologize or tell you that, I taught you've been watching the wrong thing. I don't want you to do that, And yes, kids do more of what we do than what we say. But just pushing harder to shift that thinking. And if you're trying to shift that thinking, not only telling them, but trying to show them in some light, some fashion, some form, some example, so they can know what that looks like. What is it, that generationally bad habit? Yes, we need to start saying bad habit, because it's not a curse. We're not into curses. That generational bad habit that we need to change. Like we've been doing this the wrong way for a long time. So we need to change our mindset, change our habits, change what we do. So yeah, definitely, I'm going to change this title. So, so we're going to talk about legacy, leaving legacy. What does that mean? And because the thing is, right, when, unless you can honestly say that you have a legacy that was set forth that you're building upon, that you're building something greater, then it's hard to, then you're just building, you're just getting better, like, okay, my parents did this, or grandparents did this, parents did this, I'm gonna do this, we're just getting better. There's that level of legacy. Then there's like I said, breaking those generational bad habits that, okay, there were some things that we continuously did wrong and it gave the same outcome, like a single parent household. Like, why can't holding on to relationships? Like, there's just something that we're not learning, something that we're missing, something that we're doing wrong. All right, so we're going to deal with fear, legacy, and how to tackle all of that. And thought I was going to hold this down today by myself, but I'm not. Praise the Lord. All right, I'm going to drop this intro and we'll be right back. So this intro will be changing as of tomorrow. It took me a while. Update, new stuff, but today, the classic. All right, we'll be right back right after this. I didn't want to catch that. Morning. Good morning. Welcome to another episode. Good morning. What's up, everybody? All right, that's not what I wanted, but we're back. This episode is brought to you by StreamYard. Ready to go live? Go to bit.ly/StreamYard BOL. That's bit.ly/StreamYard BOL. This episode is also brought to you by Self. Build credit now. Go to bit.ly/now build credit. bit.ly/now build credit. Yeah. All right. So today we're dealing with fear, legacy, and dealing with the unknown future. Good morning, Pastor.
Good morning.
Yes, indeed. Happy Wednesday. Jeez.
It is Wednesday. Why does my screen look different today?
It does. I think they had an upgrade or something.
Yeah.
It took me a while too.
Yeah.
It's slight, but you're like, Yeah, something's not this. It's not the same anymore. Yeah, they. I think they had an upgrade somehow last night because it was regular. Yes, yesterday. Now it's
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
So yeah. So if I hadn't said it, welcome guys to the Brothers of Legacy, where we don't stand out, we stand up. And today we're talking about fear, legacy, and dealing with the unknown future. I started talking about changing and like I said, generational bad habits because we're not under a curse. And like I said, if your legacy is growing, continuing that. But I want to talk about legacy changes or upgrades when a generation steps into a new space or steps out on faith, steps at, does something monumental, or not even. And when I say monumental, doesn't mean like a million people know about it, but it's just something that has shifted the direction of your family. Like we were just kind of middle class people until Uncle Buck discovered something, created something, invented something, or did something that infused a lot of times it's cash or connected us, and from there, or Uncle Buck knew he hired a dude, John, who became the president of the United States, and now they're close, that totally changes the trajectory of your family because it's like now I'm connected to a president, So we're talking about someone. So the first step is how do you, or have you been in a space where, because I know your story have going from, the struggle of homelessness, even with your kids, doing what you got to do just to survive. Was there a point where you had to kind of make that leap, like hoping this thing works, like being in a space where things were like, this all right, but I need to make that jump or make that leap, do something that hopefully works out, and obviously it did, but were you ever in that space where you had to make that decision of either sticking to or making a move that, that you were unsure of what the future may hold? And how did you kind of deal with that?
Me?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
I honestly, I feel like
Hey,
I'm
there
in
you
that
go.
space all the time.
Okay.
You know,
Indeed. Yeah.
yeah, I don't,
Hey, Keita.
because I don't take anything lightly. I think
Right.
that, I operate in a space where every decision is important.
Right.
Morning, Mom. Good morning, Keita. Good morning, Sister Kathy. Morning, Mother Yvonne. Morning, everybody. Those are the names that I see so far.
Right.
I know Lisa's on here. I
Right.
probably passed her. Good morning, Lisa. I
Yes,
know
indeed.
you.
Yes, indeed.
Morning, Cheryl. Hey, everybody. Yeah, I don't take very many decisions lightly. I guess
Okay.
because I'm in a mindset where it's not about the trivial things, right? I'm always thinking about, because and again, it goes all the way back to my life experience, or it's because of my life's experiences.
Right.
I realize, many years ago, if I had been more serious about certain decisions,
Right. Right.
so
Right. Right.
I've learned to take all of my decisions based on what's coming after, right?
Mhm.
They're
Okay.
they're outcome based decisions. What am
Right.
I expecting on the other side of this decision? How does this
Right.
decision impact me? How does it impact my life? How does it impact my children, my
Right.
family,
Right.
my state of being, my state of mind, all of that? What are the consequences of this decision?
Right.
But again, I'm over 50,
Right. Right.
right?
Right.
This is
Good morning,
not what my mindset was at 20. At 20, how shiny can I make my red car?
Right.
Right.
Yes.
I
Yes.
I learned from someone who said, your value when you spend 3 hours washing your car. Are you not worth more than that?
Right. Right.
How
Right.
valuable is your time? You
Right.
really want to spend 3 hours putting a shine on your car just to drive it around and get it dirty?
That's good.
That's an investment of your time. How much are you worth an hour? How much are you worth a minute?
Yeah.
And I'm like it was therapy, right? I
Yeah.
loved cleaning my car up, but it did make me think. Doesn't mean don't go shine your car, don't take pride in
Right.
your vehicle or anything,
Right.
but it made you think about your priorities,
Right. Right. You spend all them
So
hours cleaning. Right.
yeah, yeah. So I'm constantly thinking about the future outcome of my
Right.
decisions, which everyone should. I just wish I had done it earlier in life.
Yeah. 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 Because I know for me, like everyone, you go back those those split road moments where someone says, "Hey, let's go do this," this productive, help you in the future kind of moment. He's like, "Nah, I'm gonna go hang out." Like, "Hey, why don't you listen? I'm learning how to do such and such." Man, I ain't got time for that. Like certain moments that you like you said, if you were instilled with a future mindset, like this thing right here that you're about to learn will be wonderful in your back pocket later. You
Yeah.
know, things you should have gotten into, or things you should have just taken a little more serious. Or opportunities you took for granted, like you thought would always either be there, and you realize, oh, there's a time limit on that. And it's crazy how, of course, as you become adults and you try to, these are the things you try to infuse into your children. Like I was saying, the legacy things, breaking those generational bad habits. It's like, okay, I need you to pay attention to these
Yeah.
moments. I need you to watch this thing. And in your mind, you're like, I know you're not really doing that, but I think if I say it enough,
Mm-hmm.
you'll get it quicker than I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and like and try to be the example. Like, let me show you what I learned at this space where you could be doing the same thing and move a lot quicker, move ahead faster than I did.
Yeah. Yeah. You think about, like, I know how I was raised,
Right,
and
right,
and the goal for the generation before you is always that the next generation is better
right.
than the previous generation.
Yes,
So
yes,
when I consider, you know, my parents raising me, in which I came up absent of, void of a father figure in my life,
right, right,
let me do better.
right,
You
right,
understand? Let
mhm,
let me be better
right,
as a
right,
as a man than my experience was for me,
right.
right?
Yeah,
Let me make sure that the mother of my children, you know, is an improvement. Not that my mom didn't do things well,
right,
but it should be the expectation that we take what we've learned and we improve or enhance the opportunities for the next generation.
right,
So a lot of it is, consideration of how I was raised
right,
and how much further can I go
right,
than the previous generation, and
right,
then making sure that I create an environment, or not create, but architect an environment that is conducive for the generation coming after me to be effective, to be productive, to be
right,
prosperous,
right,
in every area of life,
right,
right?
right.
My and again, that wasn't my mindset in the beginning,
Of course.
because I came up in the house where the goal was to go to school,
Right,
graduate high school, get a
right,
job,
right,
handle your
right.
business,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And it
yeah.
wasn't really, we didn't really talk about the makeup of family,
Mm,
right?
right, right,
Because my mother was a single mother
right, right,
raising four sons.
right.
We talked, we communicated, but
Yeah.
you know, she
No,
she was the head of our house,
yes, I
right?
get it. I
But
get
she
it.
ended up in that space. She wasn't
Right,
trained for that space,
right, right,
right? And so those weren't the kind of conversations we had. I mean, we enjoyed all the things that families do, but
right,
we didn't really talk about that stuff,
right.
right?
True.
And so my prayer, my hope is that what I have shared or shown, in spite of my mistakes, to my children,
Right,
uh, is how to take it further.
Right.
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 That and so when you talk about the unknown future, like for me, knowing the Lord
Yeah.
makes me less concerned about my future,
Right.
because I
Right.
know that my daily living enables me to deal with Romans 8:28. For
Right.
we know that all things work together.
Yes, indeed.
Right.
Yes, indeed.
So I'm not concerned about that. I am concerned about making sure that my harvest is real.
Right.
So when I think about my future, I think about my seed. I think about the seed into my life today. Let's make sure that my actions today bring forth a positive outcome for my existence if I should see tomorrow.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Because a lot of us, a lot of us are dealing with, like your today, whatever your current state is today, it is the culmination of decisions that you made yesterday. So if you're in a struggle today, it's because you didn't properly plan 5 years ago.
Right. Yes,
right?
indeed. Yes, indeed.
For a lot of us, not for everybody.
Yeah, things happen.
Sometimes for certain people, certain things happen that were unexpected, and you end up, it's just beyond your control.
Right.
But for a lot of us,
right,
it is, Lord, if I could only have thought about this 10 years ago, if I had really done this, we think about, and so it helps you realize that whatever I'm doing today, I really have to think about my future present, because tomorrow I'm going to be dealing with a present. In 5 years, they're going to be dealing with a present.
Yes.
So if my present in 5 years is going to be a blessing, then I must seed today for my present in 5 years to ensure that whatever I'm building is going to bring forth a harvest. And so 5 years from now, I can say, "Ooh, I'm so glad that I did that." And so that's how I think about the future.
Yeah. So
as unknown as it is.
Yeah, that seeding is part of that legacy, that seeding into your future, and the things that you take time doing today. And kind of going back to Pastor's analogy, well, not even analogy, it's real. The shiny car, like you could spend 3 hours shining your car, you could have spent 3 hours doing something that could have been seeding into your future. And his analogy of time, he always says, instead of doing it myself, I'd rather just pay somebody to take care of the things that are my time wasters, and I can work on the things that I've been designed to work on. But that's that teaching, that legacy, that understanding that, for me to get the outcome or to produce the harvest that I want, I have to be working on my future now. Yeah. And that, and like him, learned it later, or probably knew it in the back of your mind, but applied it later. So, because I think about the plethora of books I've read about doing a lot of these things, and now kind of like it's activating. I'm thinking about I remember I read a book about that, and applying what was already there, but using what's inside of me to push towards the not correct legacy, but to build a fruitful legacy going into the future. I think some of the challenge going into the fear part of it is being able to know how to leverage your time properly. Where are you leveraging your time? What are you doing, like you said, right now that's going to help your future? Relaxing is fine because you need it. You need rest. You need chill time. But what are you doing with your productive time? I know this guy, Gary Vee, he says, he's not with the be up all, never sleep, never sleep to success. He says it's not about this. It's not about when you're sleeping. He said, what are you doing when you're awake? Yeah. He said, what are you spending your time doing while you're awake? Right. That matters. Right. Yeah. And where you seed your time is what matters. And honestly, even to me, even family time is building on legacy. What you're seeding into your children. I think my goal is for me, I know, Pastor, you have those sayings, or you say things to your kids, and there's certain statements that you say over and over that you pray that one day they're in a spot. It's like, my dad did say, my dad did tell me, don't do such and such. You know, never was it. Never sit in a restaurant with your back to the front door. You know, like simple stuff. You know, just in their mind, like my dad. You know, things that we seed into our kids to protect them. You know, so they can kind of have that wisdom. You know, because there's the knowledge part, there's the wisdom part, like how to make better decisions, how to make better choices. My dad did say, don't pick up unknown drinks. You know, like if a cup was sitting, don't pick that up. If you left it, if you went to the bathroom, ask for something else. You know, if you're not around people that you trust. You know, it's small things, but they make a huge difference. You know, you know, never trust a guy that says, you know, like I think that they can click, because when your kids are, you know, growing and away, you just those little nuggets that you said over and over, that you pray like, hopefully it gets in them, hopefully it gets in them, hopefully it gets in them, you know. So
and you know, and it's not all, you know, it's not all about rules and regulations.
Right.
You know, we spend so much time, you know, if I had anything to do differently with my children, you know, I wouldn't spend as much time with the rules.
Okay.
Right. Something that, you know, like when I was growing up, you know, life was different. The world was different.
Right.
You know, our front door was never locked.
Right.
You know, we had those old school keys. Remember the old school, like skeleton type keys?
Yeah. I remember
that's the kind of key we had to our front door. You know, growing up in Illinois. And there was only like one key to the house, you know, and I don't even know who had it. But, you know, we never really locked the door, you know, and you get up in the morning, you go to school, you come home, you get your homework done, whatever, or, you know, when you're not in school, you go outside and you come back in when it's time to come in.
Right.
And whatever your experience was that day, that was your experience. Something dramatic happened, you come home, you talk about it. Something crazy happened, you come home, you talk about it, or you don't.
Right.
You know, but then you start dealing with all of the craziness of the world, and the craziness of the world causes you to pull your family closer. You know, I remember telling my children, you know, when they were able to go outside, you know, if I look out the door and I don't see you, you've gone too far.
Yes.
Right. You start putting the restrictions, the limitations. You know? And then what happens is life becomes all about limitations. And so I'm thinking about your future, right? You think about the future. If you build a bunch of limitations for your children, then they live a closed-minded life.
Okay. I'm listening.
Right. So you have to understand the balance, you know, injecting joy and helping children understand what liberation really is, what living really is. You know, I understand that I can't, at 3 years old, I can't walk down the street, you know, but let me appreciate the field that I do have. Gotcha. You understand? Let's not just say, don't go past this line.
Right.
Let's say, enjoy what you have right here in front of you.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
And it's all about how we communicate things to our children, because, you know, you raise your children around a bunch of regulations and all they know is what they can't do. Right. And so what does that become at 13?
Right.
When it's time to try out for cheerleading.
Right. That's true.
For a boy, when you want to try out for the baseball team.
Right.
When all you've heard is you're not able to do this, you're not able to do that. You know, it's little things like that, those little seeds that, you know, and so my thing is, you know, part of thinking about the future and making sure that what your legacy is strong coming through those that are coming behind you, is to make sure they understand the difference and have a good balance between that kind of stuff. It's not that we don't have rules. God gives us rules. But I found out if you were in Bible study last night, you know, the truth behind the 10 Commandments, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people make it all about the 10 Commandments. Do this and you're going to die. Or, you know, God doesn't like this. He doesn't like that. Don't do this. Don't do that. But the reality is, we have moral levers in our lives, right? We know what hurts, what doesn't hurt, because we discover that. You touch the fire, it hurts you, so you don't touch that, you know. And if you touch it and it hurts, no one's going to have to tell you not to touch it again.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And so I think there's a moral fiber that it's innate within us. Yes, we're born in sin and shaped in iniquity, but guess what? When you find out something doesn't work, doesn't bode well for you, you kind of stop doing that.
Right.
So I believe that the 10 Commandments was the validation of our inability to live right, which is why we needed Jesus. But it was really just the exposure of what wrong looks like.
Okay.
You understand?
I got what you're saying. I got what you're saying.
Yeah. And so, so when you talk about building legacy, just make sure they know what wrong looks like.
Right.
You understand? Right. Teach them, train them. And I'm saying this is for children, but even some grown folks have still had to figure out, your legacy is broken when you don't understand the impact of your negativity towards people. Right. Because you haven't had to, like, I feel like for certain people, you haven't lost enough. Right. You or if you mistreat enough people, you'll wake up lonely one day. Right. And the problem is when you finally get to that space where you can't call anybody, you won't even know how to reel yourself in, and that's the danger, because you don't know how long it's going to take. And when you wake up and realize that you don't know how long it took you to get there, and nor do you know how long it's going to take for you to repair it. Right. So you have to, how you treat people does have an impact on your future. That's real.
Wow.
How you do business has an impact on your ability to obtain wealth.
Right.
You can, we found out, what's that guy's name, Wall Street, who got arrested back, Madoff. He lived a life of wealth, taking advantage of people for 30 years.
Yes.
But how did it end?
Right.
And so was it worth it if this is how you got to go out of here?
Right.
You abuse people your whole life, and then you get old and it was all for naught.
Right.
And all you have is the memory of being on the yacht. And you can't take it with you.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, all those years you spent, and you're going to be known as the guy who was a crook. Right. And not only are you going to be known as that, but like your family is going to be known as the family of the crook.
Right.
So you messed up. Yeah, Madoff? Your legacy. You messed
Johnny
up your
Madoff?
name.
Johnny the Madoff. That was, got to go through all of that. Like,
Right. I mean, like you know who I feel bad for?
Who's that?
Barron Trump.
Right. Yes.
Right.
Yes, indeed.
What kind of life is that? You're almost 7 feet tall, but you'll never be considered a giant.
Right.
Because of the legacy of your dad.
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
So the only thing you can do is be like him and hope that the people who loved him will love you.
Right. At least you'll get that,
Yeah.
You'll get that.
Because the amount of effort that it's going to take to change the narrative.
Right. Wow.
So those are little. I mean, we're bouncing around, but
it's all in the same vein of a legacy, dealing with an unknown future, and how as parents and head of households, how we can lead our family in the right direction. Because our what are, especially as the heads, what we do and what name are we leaving for our family. And if my son whips out a car that has Junior on it, I want people like, oh, you A.D. Walker's son. Oh, yeah, come on in. If anything, it opens the door. Like, come on in. Now he got to prove himself, but at least he gets to step up because of my name.
Those are the conversations I had with Brian Jr. before he passed. When he was growing up, I'm like, listen, you carry my name.
Right.
I have to make sure that because I gave you my name, that it's a name that you can be proud of.
Yes.
But I also want to make sure that as you carry this name, you continue in the pride of the name.
Right. Exactly.
And he did that. I'm proud that
Yeah.
he did everything like he is the example of being your best self
Yeah.
daily, right?
Yeah.
With
Definitely.
all of those limitations and restrictions on him,
Definitely.
he still lived a liberated life.
Yes.
And
Yes,
I
he did.
believe I'm grateful, and I know that I can take some credit
Right.
for the fact that he lived a liberated life. People used to say, "Man, you're so hard." I'm not hard on him. I said, I believe God,
Yeah.
and I want to treat him like I believe the God of healing.
Right.
I want to
Right.
raise him so that if God decides to pull him up out of that chair,
Right.
that he
Right.
doesn't raise up an idiot.
Right. Yes, indeed.
Right? Because
Yes, indeed.
how can you believe God for healing but not put anything in him and
Right.
let the wheelchair be an excuse?
Yep. Yep.
It's
That's true.
right. It's
That's
a
true.
walking contradiction.
Right.
And so
Right.
we have to live our best life.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean you have all the answers. It
Right.
just means do your best with what you know,
Right.
and never stop learning. Continue to learn and build on what you know, and be that for other people.
Definitely. Definitely.
It's simple but yet complicated.
Right.
Right?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely.
Because people are constantly critiquing you.
Yes.
You know, when you bring your best self and someone doesn't appreciate it,
Right.
then I'm not going to give that to you anymore because you're not good ground. And but all
Right.
of a sudden, you carry that attitude into other areas,
Right.
and
Right.
you come to someone else who's an opportunity for you, and you present less than your best,
Right.
and you ruin an opportunity.
Right.
The Bible says sometimes you're entertaining angels unaware.
Right.
Right.
Yes,
So
indeed.
you must always bring your
Bring
best
your
self,
best.
and
Definitely.
we always want to justify our behavior. Well, if such hadn't happened, the Bible says just the small foxes that spoil the vine. So I would say if you want to live your best life, beware of the small foxes. Beware of the little things.
Right.
Don't get stuck with the low hanging fruit. Learn how to climb to the top and get the real stuff, the good stuff. It's gonna take some effort, but you gotta climb.
Yeah.
You gotta climb.
Put the work in. Put the work
Yeah.
in. Put the work in. It's sometimes the journey gets rough. It gets hard, but you just and putting your best forward all the time. Never shortchanging yourself, because that moment that you shortchange yourself, you miss out on an opportunity. You never, like you said, you never know who's watching, who's waiting, who's been observing. And then at one moment they're like, oh, they ain't ready. They ain't ready.
Right.
And you've been ready. You had a moment where you didn't give your best. You gave less than. So building that.
And if you fail in that area, don't quit. It's not the end of the world, right? That's the thing.
Don't quit.
Life doesn't end with your mistake.
Yes.
Life continues. So you have an opportunity to make up for that.
Yes, indeed.
Or to do better next time. And those are, these are very common principles that everyone is aware of.
Right.
But just because you know it doesn't mean you live it.
Right. Whew. All right. So on that note, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after these. This episode is brought to you by StreamYard. Ready to go live? Go to bit.ly/StreamYard BOL. That's bit.ly/StreamYard BOL. This episode is also brought to you by Self. Build credit now. Go to bit.ly/now build credit. bit.ly/now build credit. All right. Welcome back. Appreciate you guys being with us. Just a quick reset. You're watching the Brothers of Legacy, where we don't stand out, we stand up. Make sure you share, tag somebody as we talk about fear, legacy, and dealing with the unknown future. This has been an awesome conversation with my brother, Pastor Brian A. McCrory of Southern's Temple. So I want you to know that, like, we come on every day. Well, not every day, but Monday through Friday, just about every day at 9 a.m. And we try to share our life stories, our gems, and expose ourselves and be transparent as we can, much as we can. And we always transparent. We got a lot of shows. So, and we try to share what's in us and what we've gone through, and hopefully what you're hearing today is helping you. And if we're saying anything that feel like someone else needs to hear as well, be sure to share it, tag it, put it in their inbox. Like, hey, I'm just going to drop this in here. You should check it out. It could be encouraging because we all need some level of encouragement from time to time. We always need to hear something that sparks our imagination, sparks our interest. Because sometimes just need that spark, period. Because, life can be mundane. Life can be a cycle of, man, is this thing ever going to get better? Even if I'm walking it out every day. Also, appreciate you, Mama Corey. Said, love this conversation. So just the key is to never stop, right? And no matter where you're at, if you have another day, you have another opportunity, and you can pour into somebody's life. You can connect with us. You can connect with other brothers or other sisters for the ladies, but connect with those that are legacy minded, right? For me, I've had times when I spent too much time in drama or too much time in a revolving door of nothingness and not moving forward, and you can fall into that space many ways. One, not having purpose or not seeing past your issues. Two, complaining. Oh man, stuck always complaining about stuff and why this not working, why that. If you spend your time on Facebook and Instagram, you're too busy looking like, why they got that? How they got that house? 2 years ago, they were broke. Well, obviously, they did something. They got something together. Oh man, how they get that car?
Right.
Or they work the same job as I do. How they get that? So you have to, you can't be so stuck looking at other people's lane. You gotta focus on what is it that you want to build? What's the legacy that you want to leave? What do you want people to remember you for? And keep that in mind. And like I said, and I always say this, it's not about being famous. It's not about being famous. It's all about impact. It's all about impact. A lot of times people are what's that? You about to say something?
No, I just had a moment. You said it's not about being famous. It's all about an impact.
Yeah. And a lot of people become known for their small impacts. They're in that town doing something, just slowly changing something. Someone says, hey, what are you doing? I'm doing this, and the third. Hey, let's take this over to this state, or let's just take this over here, or more people need to hear this, and that's how people get known. Is that a lot of times, or sometimes, most times, people aren't really looking for the big spotlight, and those that are having the spotlight, that are making impact at the same time, they weren't after the spotlight, they were after the impact. They're like, they get excited, like, oh, 100 people got it. Oh, 500 people got it. Like it's all about the impact, and they learn to scale their impact. It's and not focus on just being famous or just being well known or just having a great name. And like I said, and in that legacy, that frame of legacy, making that impact not only helps you, it opens the doors for those that come after you. Like I said, I want my children opportunities to open, because they're like, oh, you're A.D. Walker's son, got the face and you kind of look like him, so they give him the same range, give them the same opportunity as they would if I was there. Like, you must have good integrity. You must at least he'll come out on top, at least in the beginning. He was, like Pat said, I believe who you are till you prove me wrong. Like, and they were like, I'm gonna give you the same opportunity I would if 80 was right here, and just don't mess it up. Don't do nothing crazy. Don't mistreat it. Don't mistrust.
And if you mess it up, don't think that it's, for me, it's really, so it's not so much don't mess it up.
Yeah.
Life is about mitigation. Let me reduce the risk of you messing it up, but help you understand that even on your worst day, there's still opportunity for change.
Right. Yes.
I often think about people, there was an old story, they tell people all the time, do you really know who Maya Angelou was?
Right.
Right. Do you know that she was a teenage mother? Right. You know how she became a teenage mother. She became a teenage. She had sex with a guy to prove she wasn't a lesbian.
Mm.
Right now, how like that's ridiculous. That's so silly.
Right.
But that's a mistake she made.
Yes.
Right.
Definitely. Hey,
but imagine if she. But so that means that she was a young mother. She had to work all these odd jobs as a young mother, and one of those jobs was a sex worker, a prostitute. Right. So if her life had ended right then, she would have died a prostitute.
Right.
But she kept pushing.
Yes.
And because she kept pushing, we know her today as that wasn't even her original name.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and so think about Malcolm X.
Right.
People say, you know, if Malcolm X life ended at 21, he'd have died a burglar, a dope dealer,
Malcolm
criminal, a felon. Yeah, Malcolm Little. You know, and so, but he didn't. He ended up going to prison, spending like 7 years in prison, learned something in prison, and came out and had an impact.
Yes.
Now, when he came out, was he trying to be famous?
Right. No,
he was just trying to share information.
Right. Exactly.
That's it. You know, Maya Angelou was just trying to share information.
Exactly.
You know, and I look at my own life, you know, in 1991, I was homeless.
Right.
And I found a job. I was unemployed. I didn't have a place to live.
Right.
I found a job in a factory. Right. But I recognized that factory was a step.
Yeah.
There were people who retired from that factory.
Right.
But I made a decision that was not going to be my life.
Right.
You know, and so I continued to push, continued to press, you know, and those are some of the best decisions I ever made. The fact that I did not stop and settle.
Yeah.
Is why now I have traveled the world and spoken in front of thousands of people. And, you know, I've had an impact because I didn't limit myself to my mistakes early in life.
Right.
You know, and so that, you know, and I'm saying, imagine if Joseph died, if he had never cried out from the pit when his brothers threw him in the pit.
Right.
You know, people don't realize like he was in the pit and his brothers were nearby sitting down at a table eating.
Right.
I mean, like what kind of experience is that? Right. And then to finally get out of there and then go and be sold into slavery.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
And to get from that to getting into, you know, Potiphar's house and then getting accused of something and getting thrown into prison.
Right.
I mean, all of these things, you know, he could have just ended it all at some point. He could have never revealed the dream to the baker, to the butler. He could have kept his mouth closed and just sat down and wallowed in his despair.
Yes.
You know, and died in prison.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And that means notice the opportunity when it presents itself.
Right. That's good.
You got to see the opportunity when it presents itself.
Right.
You know, and those, and we don't want to miss those. Don't allow a temporary state of mind to ruin a legacy-based opportunity.
Right.
Because of a mood swing. I don't want to allow something that I'm going through temporarily to cause me to bring harm or kill something that could be permanent, that could last. That is legacy building, you know, and that's the stuff. Those are the mistakes that we make when we're, you know, when you start to doubt your future. When you start to doubt your future, you miss opportunities for growth.
You do. Yeah. You that's good because you can get into a state where you're not focused. You know, you're not focused on your future. You're focused on the problems and issues, and you're wallowing. And meanwhile, there's opportunity right in front of you. You know, you just got to stay focused. And trust me, I'm not only the president, I'm also a client of, and I've been there. And it's like, all right, you know, you get in that space, you kind of have to find a way to shake it. You have to find a way to refocus, repurpose. You know, like, okay, It's all good. And like Pastor said, you know, mistakes happen. You know, we make a bad decision, we make an emotional decision, and or you just something just goes wrong. You just like, I thought I did everything right. It just goes wrong. But you can't stay in that space. Can't stay in that space. And that space is not only like physical, but it's mental. Because there are people that are just stuck in a space like it went wrong 10 years ago. It's never gonna go right. Never gonna do it again. You know, you can't, and this is where the fear part comes in, where you know you have to face that and push past it, you know, deal with it. And because a lot of opportunities on the other side of that fear, a lot of opportunities on the other side of that fear. And if we don't ever deal with what we're afraid of, you know, then we'll never be able to move forward. It's unfortunate that I know people that are stuck in a space where they can't get past something that's happened, so they never want to experience it again. You know, I never want to deal with that again.
On the other side of that affliction.
Yes.
You heard that last week.
Right. Yes, indeed. So we have to, that your fear, your overcoming of the fear creates a legacy. Your overcoming of your fear can create a legacy. You know, like I said, breaking those bad habits, those those generational bad habits, because we have others that have been stuck in the same space, you know. And then that the limitations, when you're speaking about teaching limitations, you know, your parents unfortunately unknowingly sometimes teach you those limitations.
Yeah.
They said, yeah, this is what you can't do. This is not how you become successful, you know. And we it's ingrained in us, and we can't, you know, we see it. We're like, oh yeah, I can't do that, you know. And then sometimes you can't even describe why I can't. I don't even know who told me I can't. I just know I can't. You know, like it's so ingrained that it's like, I don't remember when my mother or my dad said it. I just know I know it. You know, I feel like it's the truth. You know, I've taken somebody's opinion and turned it into a fact. And we get stuck. As it said, you can get very, very stuck, and it takes so much effort to get out the other side. Indeed. But and so to that, everybody with kids, don't teach your kids limitations. Don't put on them so many limitations in their life that it becomes difficult for them to do things.
Well, and again, it's the balance. You know, we all have to have structure.
Yeah.
But don't allow structure to become a box.
Right.
Yeah. Because God is not in a box.
Right. Not a box. Yeah. Get out the box.
Yeah. And I love, you know, Lisa Yeomans is on here.
Yes.
And she just started writing her thoughts down, and her thoughts became poetry.
Right.
Woo. Right.
Yes.
Now you need to get her on here one day and have her read some of her stuff, you know, to just start putting your thoughts down on paper.
Yeah.
And your thoughts become poetic. You realize your thoughts are poetic.
Right.
Her view of life is poetry in motion.
Right.
And she took the opportunity to start putting it down on paper.
Right.
And it's impacting. It's life impacting. Is what it is. You know.
Definitely.
I love stuff like that. You know, my wife started the online Hey Sis.
Yeah.
And it started like this year, and they've connected with people across the country.
Right.
There have been new relationships established. Right. You know, like Lisa and my wife are very, very close.
Wow.
Right. But the reason she knows my wife is because you took the opportunity to launch BOL.
Right.
They wouldn't even know each other.
Right. That's true. I got you.
There's an entire network of people coming together.
Definitely.
Doing something totally different.
Right.
But it's because you didn't stop with one view.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah. And so you don't know, like Cheryl. Yeah. I mean, there are people that have made these connections. There's ecosystems being established, right? Because of your desire to just have an impact.
Right. Right.
And a lot of it you don't even see happening.
Right. True. That is
right.
true.
The Bible
Yes,
says
indeed.
one can set 1,000 to flight and 2 10,000. The reason why you don't live life based on those limitations is because you'll never be able to
Appreciate you,
reach the
Lisa.
world.
Right.
Right. Amen, Lisa. Absolutely.
Appreciate you, Lisa.
We thank
Yes,
God for
indeed.
you
Yes,
because
indeed.
you've
Yeah.
been a blessing to our life. You've
Right.
done something. You've done something for my daughters that people don't know about.
Wow.
That is legacy. It's
Wow.
something you've given her, something that she's going to be able to carry with her and cherish for the rest of her days.
Wow.
Right.
That's awesome.
And that's, you know, that's what living life beyond the barrier, beyond the boundaries
Right.
will do.
Right.
You know, imagine if Lisa was depressed and never shared her thoughts.
Right. 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 That's good. That's
Right.
good. You're right. You're right.
And
Right.
but she's building legacy.
Right.
You know,
Appreciate you, Rich.
yeah, your name is a fixture in our home now because of what you have seeded into my family.
That's awesome.
And we've never seen her physically.
Right. Never. Right. Right.
We've never been in the same room physically.
Right. Wow.
That's amazing.
That
That's
is.
amazing to me.
That is.
You know,
Right.
that's overcoming fear. That's considering legacy.
Right.
That's pushing in spite of not knowing what the future holds.
Right.
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 That's real. And it's tangible.
Yeah.
You
Definitely.
understand? It's tangible.
That's awesome.
Go to California and meet up with Cheryl.
There you go.
Right.
Right.
It's like you've known each other forever.
Right. Right.
Because of these connections, because of
Yes.
this, right?
Yeah.
You know that if you go to California, you got somebody
Right.
that is going to be there
Right.
to meet you when you get there.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. And it's funny because
It makes room for you to stretch your boundaries.
right. Right. It does.
Right. And that's what this conversation is about.
It's funny that you say that because like when your mom visited and we was riding, we was talking like we've been hanging out.
Right. Forever.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And we never really had a conversation other than on the platform. And it was
all the nervousness is gone.
Right.
Because you've broken through all of that.
Right.
Know? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Oh man. All right. So this was good. Make sure you guys, if you're not connected to the our text community, join our community, text LWN to 84576, text LWN to 84576. Be a part of all that the Legacy Walker Network is doing. And just it's about impact and make sure, not being afraid, not letting mistakes become your life. And like Pastor just said, take that word. Like you were going to launch something, you're going to start that podcast, you're going to start that video, just launch. You already got it in you. You just have to just do the work, do the action. And you never know who you're going to impact. You never know who you're going to touch. It's funny, when I first started, like it didn't seem like a lot of people were watching. And then I went to work one day. Someone was like, "Hey, man, that word you gave was awesome." I'm like, and keeping it real, I was like, I think I'm gonna stop doing this. Nobody cares. Nobody cares, And I was like, they never put a comment. They never even liked it. They just, I was like, okay, so I'm a, regardless of what numbers look like, I know more people see it than the numbers show. Yeah, understand that.
And it's encouraging someone.
Yes,
something similar.
Right. So just know that, like, it is easy to get caught up in numbers. I won't lie, because you look at them, especially when you go live. The number's sitting right there. Just 0. Okay, I'm gonna just keep talking, But trust me, somebody sees it, somebody gets encouraged. It just takes just being consistent and just and pull from who you are. Don't be somebody that you're not. Just pull from who you are.
Man, I
used to thank God didn't stop. Yes, indeed.
I have preached to a congregation of 3,000, and I have preached to a congregation of 3. Right.
Yes.
And I've learned to put as much energy
Right.
into the congregation of 3 as I
Right.
put into the congregation of 3,000.
Right.
You know, because you never know.
Right.
One of those 3, glory to God.
Right.
One of those 3 can set 1,000 to flight.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
We thank God. We appreciate you folks on here.
Yes. Yes. Yes, indeed. Because listen, y'all hanging out is a blessing to me. It's a blessing to me. Trust me, I receive what you guys receive. When Pastor talks, I receive it as well. So it's all of these conversations are a blessing to me. They've helped me shape a lot of things that I do at home, shape my mindset, and help develop what BOL is to become. It said these days, instead of tears of disappointment and sadness, now tears of joy and gratitude. Yes, indeed.
Absolutely.
Amen. Amen.
Absolutely.
All right. Let me get out of here before I start crying. All right. So we appreciate you guys rocking and hanging with us. Make sure you share, join our community. We got some great things happening. That Patreon page, I promise, is coming. I just was making sure I had it right, had everything straight. Don't want to launch too fast. And we look forward to seeing you guys same time, same channel. And that's it. That's all. Rich, I still have your list of stuff that you suggested. So we're going to be busting some of that out. So don't worry. I'm not ignoring. I'm going to get to it. Just everybody matters. All right. So we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Always know we love you, but God loves you more. Take care. I didn't want to catch that.
Morning. Good morning.
Welcome to another.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.